Hello, we shall be starting our introduction module with a little bit of economic history. Around 1340, when Ibn Battuta set out on his travels, India, China, and the Middle East manufactured most products circulated on the international trade routes, while Africa supplied most of the raw material. Atlantic Europe craved the spices and adored the silks of the Orient. Its wools and wines, however, had few takers in the East. Therefore, it had to purchase commodities in silver and gold, resulting in a drain of wealth to the East. Note that the Middle East was at the crossroads of world trade where major sea lanes and land routes converged. Italian merchants were unable to trade without the permission of the Arabs. In the 15th century, because of the conquests by the Ottoman Turks, Europeans could no longer travel by land to the east. This necessitated Europeans to discover new routes by sea. Their motives: God, glory, and gold. Europeans hoped to find precious metals and expand trade, especially for the spices of the east. They also believed it was their duty to convert other peoples to Christianity. Finally, their last motive was a desire for glory and adventure. In 1493, Christopher Columbus returned to Spain with the news of a new empire to be had, and in 1499, Vasco da Gama returned to Portugal from his more or less successful trip to India. What ensued in the century after 1490 was the foundation of the European world economy. Note how Europe literally moves to the center of the world map. The first step in this process was the discovery of the Americas, which provided huge quantities of gold and silver. These bullions of gold and silver were exported to Europe and then used to finance trade with the East. European traders in Asian ports were not only empowered by cash flow, they could also count on gunboat diplomacy, relying on their national navies to enforce their way into Asian markets. Europe's rise in rank in the world economy wasn't only due to the American bullion. There was also abundant land to be had. Stolen land and abundant slave labor, first Native American and then African, soon translated into plantation production of agricultural commodities. These new commodities too flowed to Atlantic European ports. In short, by the 17th century, in order to be a successful mercantilist power, a European state had to build a merchant fleet, back it up with a navy, secure commodities in the Americas and slave labor in Africa, and have the currency to purchase high quality manufactures in Asia. A map of the mercantilist empires shows how most European powers were interested only in coastal outposts in Asia and Africa. Boiled to its essence, mercantilism is bullionism. If one country had more gold than another, it was necessarily better off. This idea had important consequences for economic policy. The best way of ensuring a country's prosperity was to make few imports and many exports, thereby generating a net inflow of foreign exchange and maximizing the country's gold stocks. When did all this fail? Mercantilist economy concentrated on a single aspect of the economy, trade. Profits were usually reinvested in trading prospects. Tariffs were used to protect trade and reduce competition. Ultimately, some money was invested in manufacture of textiles or industry. Mercantilism provided the much needed capital to start industries. Thereafter, economic policies favored by industrial capitalists won over those favored by mercantile capitalists. These are some. In our next module, we shall discuss the work of Adam Smith and his theories which gave birth to our ideas of modern economics. Thank you.